Good morning. It is absolutely freezing right now. I think it's about 10:30 a.m. and I was up since 5. Slept no more than like 6 hours, but I was able to actually complete the editing of this video. And so this video is going to be on everything you need to know about how to effectively train your muscles for you to get to that lean aesthetic physique you want. This is how to optimally, simply put, and very straightforward, how to train and target your muscles in order for you to have proper muscle growth, right? What you should be doing in the gym. Because back then, 4 years ago, when I went into the gym, it would be on an inconsistent basis. Like I would try every single machine, every single other workout every other day, right? And I would go whenever I felt like it, when I was motivated, or when a friend wanted me to go with him. And that was it, right? I was stuck for many years, and that's how it was. But hopefully through this, you're able to learn and then apply it next day in the gym. You're already good to go. This is not gonna be an extremely colorful, high dopamine video. This is an educational video. So I really hope you learn. For the people who really want it, I'm talking to you, right? You can actually apply this so that when you go into the gym, you know what you're doing and you don't come off as like a newbie, you know? Because that's what I was scared of. That's what kind of made me not want to go. I thought everybody was looking at me. I thought everybody was judging me, even though in reality, nobody cared. I went in there because I didn't want to seem like a beginner. But the good part of it was that I showed up and I was able to continue to try to fail and learn, right? And that's exactly how you should look at it. But with this, you're going to skip that process. Trust me. And so take notes, actively learn, have a surrounding space where it's quiet and you can fully focus, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, I'm going to get right into this, but this is where you're going to be able to learn how to effectively train. This is everything that you need. And if you follow these steps, by the end of this, you're going to be able to master training for you to build muscle and get to the dream, lean and aesthetic physique that you want. So this is the blueprint to mastering training by the end of this. And before we get into it, I might be reading off of this, but I'm of course going to bring in some filler and some insight because there's a level of surface information to this. But of course, look at the document and also follow along what I have to say. So by the end of this, you will understand everything you need about optimally weightlifting to tear down and target the muscle. Minimizing injury, fatigue, burnout, and everything that may make your training experience inefficient. All right. So we'll be going over these fundamentals. All right. Proper warm-ups, form, mind-muscle connection, training close to failure, rest between sets. And then once you get these down, training past failure, progressive overload, and then finally mastery. All right. There's going to be about 8 of these, and I'm going to go over every single one of these in the most detail as possible to give you guys enough information to understand. All right. So proper warm-up. I'm going to be going over each do and don't to make sure that you guys know what people usually do and fail and what people do that actually works. All right. This is coming from experience and from the countless people that I've coached in person and also online. So let's get into it. The do's with your warm-up. This is what you should be doing when you warm up. Focus on doing warm-ups movements for the muscles being worked that day. High volume and lightweight, so around the 15 to 20 rep range. So every single time I have a client, I always tell them that the way you warm up is by, let's say you're hitting a back day, right? You got lat pull down, you got some sort of rowing movement, you have pull-ups. You don't have to worry about anything else but doing the exercise with lighter weight. For example, I like to start off with lat pull down. And so when I get on my lat pull down, I'm doing like half the weight that I would do as my top set. And I'm repping that for around 15 to 20 reps. This is so that the blood can flow into the muscles and you're going to be able to get that mind-muscle connection first and also prime yourself ready to actually lift heavy weight. You can't just go straight into the gym, cold turkey, and just lift some really heavy weight when that's what we're supposed to be doing. You can't do that. You need to warm up properly so that you mitigate injury and also inefficient muscle targeting. right? You won't be able to feel it if you don't warm up and all that stuff, right? So warming up takes away that area of like not feeling the muscle, injuring yourself and all that stuff. And so the don'ts that you should not be doing is don't static stretch with long holds and being still, all right? Like doing something like this and like that, or like what you do with your feet. You don't have to do that. That actually might prime you to be more injured compared to what I just told you to do. And also, don't do cardio first to warm up. People like to do their cardio before they lift, but when you do that, it's making it so that you have kind of lost that energy you got from maybe your carb up, your meals beforehand, and you've just depleted yourself with the energy that's required for you to get a good weightlifting session in. And so that's why cardio is going to like remove that. Like you can do 10 minutes of cardio max. You don't have to do cardio to warm up, especially if it's not your leg day as well. Moving on to form. All right. Now that you know how to warm up, this is where your form comes into play. And there's a couple of things that are here. So what you should be doing with your form are these simple steps. So, and I like to assess form based off of how your bench press is. So I might use that as an example, but you set yourself up with stability. All right. You need to make sure you're stable and you're still. You're not moving around. Nothing's uneven, right? You have an even grip. Your back is arched and your shoulders are rolled back. When in doubt, just roll your shoulders back like this. Because that just makes it for most movements a lot easier. Even when you're like doing lat pull down, you can do that. Or whenever you're doing any push movement, right? Pressing movement, you could push like this, right? It always just, you fall back to that. And as a beginner, that's what you should be doing. And now that you're set in place where you're not going to move around, you need to be very stationary. You can't be moving anything because every single time you're doing your sets, the only thing you have to focus on doing is moving the muscle that you're trying to target. All right. So starting your set for breathing technique, this is the breathing technique portion. Starting your set, you inhale, you hold, and then you exhale when you're pushing or lowering. All right. Everybody mixes this up, but let's say for bench press as an example, right? I always tell you when you start, you inhale first and you hold your breath. On the way down, you are holding it until you are pushing out. Once you push it off of your chest, that's when you're exhaling with it. You always exhale with the push or with the lowering movement. All right. So let's say if you were pulling for back rows or something, seated rows, right? Before you move anything, you hold your breath, you pull it, and then when you're lowering, you are letting go of your breath. Don't hold your breath the entire time because that's how you basically faint, or that's just not how you do it. All right, you're going to feel like you're suffocating in the set. You should be breathing through your sets, but for proper breathing, you inhale first, you hold, and then you breathe outwards. When you focus your breathing, it makes the pain a lot easier, and that's how I found you're able to be like a machine, right? You're for bench press or for lat pull down, or no. For let's say shoulder press, right? I'm going like this, then I lower it. I'm inhaling on the way down. I'm pushing. That's kind of how you should look at it. Full range of motion, right? Just like the shoulder press. Full range of motion. And now most people think full range of motion is going all the way down and all the way up like this. But that's wrong because you lose the tension and you start using it on your joints and ligaments. That's how you injure yourself. Full range of motion does not mean all the way out. All right. You need a slight bend on your knees and a slight bend on your elbows. If you aren't having that, then you're going to injure yourself because right here's the muscles, right? Right here's working shoulders, right? When you go like this, you lock out, that's your elbow now, and you can snap it. So full range of motion, let's say this is 100%. You want to be at like 98%, right? Have a slight bend and still have the tension on there. And finally, and this goes for all things. Don't go all the way. Go 98%. Even when you're curling, right? Don't drop down here and then rest, because now you've lost the tension. You gotta keep a slight bend and stay with tension the entire time. Keep tension the entire time, right? That's how you should do it. A controlled eccentric for that time under tension. So the eccentric movement is kind of the negative. Let's say for the shoulder press example, on the way down, that's the eccentric. The pushing is the concentric, I believe. So always control the eccentric or the negative portion of the rep. All right. And that's for every single exercise. So the don'ts of this is don't lock out for anything. All right. Your knees or your elbows. Don't rush the sets. You see how you have to be controlled, slow and controlled. All right. You can be fast when you're pushing out, right? Explosiveness, but you can't be rushing throughout the entire set. Once you control this portion, when you're going back, that's when you're going to be able to see the most growth, because that's where the growth occurs. And lastly, don't rest at the top of the movement. It should be a continuous set going on. You can't be pausing or resting at the top at all. Now, mind-muscle connection. You know kind of how the form should go, the way of how you should be training. Now, mind-muscle connection has to do with if you're really feeling the muscles. So the do's of what you should be doing is, before anything, think about the muscle you want to target. Have someone, if you have a partner, you have a gym partner, you go with a gym bro, have them tap the muscle directly as you're hitting the set. So let's say I don't feel my rear delts, right? And I'm trying to do some sort of pulling backwards type of thing. I'll have my friend doing this a little bit and pressing on it so that I can easily think about training that muscle, and I'll actually be able to feel it. Not everybody's going to get this, but at a point, you're able to feel each muscle working, all right? So that's where the mind-muscle connection comes in, because you won't be able to target the muscle if you can't feel it. And so doing lighter weight, trying to get your form perfectly right before you put on heavy weight is where you're going to be able to actually feel the muscles working, get that blood flowing to that muscle, and you'll actually feel a pump in it. And once you're able to feel that with all your muscles, then you're going to be able to progress with heavier weight. But before any of that, you have to get mind-muscle connection down. So the don'ts, don't go straight to heavy weights. A lot of people do heavier weights and maybe they're progressing with the weights, but they don't build any muscle. They don't really feel it. And that's because it's different for when you're actually training the muscles and they're activated versus just moving weight up and down, right? So I can maybe curl 40s if I'm 40-pound dumbbells, if I'm going like this, right? But that's not how I told you to do form, and you're not going to get any mind-muscle connection doing that. So what I said was to be stationary, be very still, and then pull it up explosively, and put it down, not all the way, but down slow and controlled. All right. And if I really did have trouble with that, then I'll have somebody tapping right here for me to really feel my biceps. This goes for every single muscle. You need to be able to feel the muscle actually working and just think about every single muscle fiber getting teared. And that's where all the magic happens, I guess. So yeah. Now, training until failure. People hear this a lot, but you should have at least 2 working sets trained to failure, or at least close to it. And so realistically, you're not going to be training every single set until failure, right? Like the big compound movements, such as your pressing ones, your pulling ones, your rows, your big movements that use a lot of muscle groups. You aren't necessarily going to train it until failure. Maybe the last set, you'll take it till failure, but try to train until failure as much as possible. It's not going to be an every single time thing, every single set, because that's unsustainable. All right. Use a weight heavy enough to work until you fail in the 6 to 9 rep range. Failing doesn't mean stopping when it's 6, 7, 8, 9. It means you can't physically even inch another rep after that. All right. So use a weight that is heavy enough for you to stay in the 6 to 9 rep range. All right. Stopping at 5, it's too heavy. Going over 10, it's too light. So understand this. But you want to push yourself until failure because that's where the growth actually happens. A lot of people don't know that all the reps leading up to those last 3-2 reps, those last ones where you're actually struggling and it looks slow, those are the reps that count, but all that is filler. But you can't get to this point unless you do these like properly, you know? So that's how you should think about it. But don't train in the 6 to 9 rep range just to do it. All right. So much people just do it to get it done and say, oh, I train in the 6 to 9 rep range, but you haven't trained to failure. And most men have at least 2 more in you, 2 more reps in reserve, right? You always got 2 more in you. All right. A big thing about when I was starting in the gym, I had a friend that was a lot stronger than me. Every single time it looked like I was going to fail, he said 2 more. And surprisingly enough, I was able to do 2 more. But after that, 2 more. And that's where I actually failed. Maybe I got 1, but I failed at the second one after the second one, you know? And so we don't really know our limits until it's tested. So you always got 2 more in you. Always aim for that extra rep and you'll hit absolute failure 100%. Now rest between sets. Since what I just told you was pretty extreme on how you actually train, really high with intensity, you need adequate rest in between. So rest to recover for your next set. All right, 3 to 5 minutes for intense sets, and make sure you feel ready to give all you have in the next sets. A lot of people skip out on this because they think it's a lot of time wasted. But remember this, we are aiming for quality and not the quantity. We're not doing that many reps, but we're making it all count. So adequate rest between is where you're going to be able to perform a lot better. All right. So rushed rest or too much rest is both ruining your performance. So less than 2 minutes is not enough. Up to 10 minutes, you're stalling, bro. You're doing sets of chatting. And you find this in a lot of people who go with other people. You know, they take 10 minutes, they take 30 minutes on one machine. Like, brother, you guys aren't working at this point. You guys are like just talking, and then you guys are having a conversation with a side of working out. You're not actually working out, you know? So remember this when you're going in there. And now, once you have all of these down and it's become routine, you're used to everything, you know? This is where you put it, take it to the next level, and this is how you actually progress with it. But the next things I'm about to get into don't matter unless you get all of the first things down, all right? Training past failure. Let's look at this. So, drop sets and partials. These are two methods to training past failure. So once you can't physically get that rep out for that weight, doing a drop set helps you continue to push. All right. After a set, drop the weight down to half and pump out as many reps as you can. Let's say I'm doing curls with 40-pound dumbbells and I'm inching it and it's not going up. Boom. I drop it. I go to 20-pound dumbbells, maybe even 15-pound dumbbells, and I'm doing as much as I can with the same type of form. That means I'm still staying slow and controlled. I'm still pumping it up explosively, but I'm doing it until absolute failure. And like, this is taking it to the next level. These are usually for your last sets. Partials. If you can't get full range of motion on a movement, try to pull or push it as much as possible doing partial reps. Let's say for lat pull down, especially for lat pull down, right? You can't pull it down all the way. You start stopping, go back up, keep trying to push that halfway. So you want to do like half reps, partial reps, but like doing this and then you can't get it all the way. Just keep trying to get it. Keep trying to get it until you're not even inching at the extended point. You're not even inching, That's how you know you're training until absolute failure. And this is how you actually take it to the next level. The don'ts. Don't completely lose form. And also, don't go too light or too heavy. So if you're dropping it down to like the 40-pound dumbbells, right? If you're dropping it down to 5 pounds, you're going to stay there forever. Like, you can probably pump out 20 to 30 more. But also, people lose their form all the time. Like, they would just start using momentum, and like now you're just like missing the point of what you're actually doing. So this is where you actually are able to train past failure. This is where you take it to the next level with your training. Next, progressive overload. And honestly, everybody should be doing this. So the do's and don'ts. You do want to try to add 2.5 to 5 pounds on each exercise every week. And that means for every single lift, for your whole entire split, try to add on at least 2.5 pounds or up to 5 pounds every single week. Every single week, you're training heavier. You're not trying to train lighter. It's either you stay the same with the weight or you go heavier. Every single time, people try to go back in weight and lighten the weight, and all you're doing is making your body used to less. That's why nobody ever progresses. You stay the same if you stick to the same weight. You always want to try to progress with your weight or get used to the weight right now so that you can progress eventually. All right? So it's either that or get to 10 reps with a certain weight on a movement to master it, or see what the most weight you can do for 6 reps is. So what I mean by this is, let's say for bench press, again, I'm doing 225 pounds, all right? 2 plates, 2 45-pound plates on each side. Let's say I'm at 5 reps right now. Next week, I should be aiming to do 6 reps. The week after that, 7, 8, so on and so forth. Once I hit 10, I'll be able to add 2.5 to 5 pounds to it. Or if I'm at 5 reps, right, for 225 pounds, and I get to 6 reps, all right, and then I get to 7 reps, I can stop there and already add the pounds to see what I can do for 6 reps again. Because once again, remember, the minimum is 6, the maximum is 9 for a working set. If you get to 10, you can actually start getting heavier and go to 2.5 to 5 pounds. But if not, remember, 5 is too heavy, 10 is too light. So stay in between. And once you understand that, you can add on 2.5 to 5 pounds whenever you'd like. All right. So try to digest what I said because it's kind of confusing. Now the don'ts. Don't skip 10 pounds up. Don't stay with the same weight. And don't choose random weight. Build on what you last did. And lastly, most importantly, do not ego lift. All right? That comes into the going up by 10 pounds. Some people want to overly prove themselves and skip 10 pounds. That's not how you slowly build, because you're setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. You can't do that. And so you're just going to fail, and also you're going to waste a lot of time because you're not getting efficient work done. Don't ego lift. If everybody skipped the ego lifting process, everybody would build muscle a lot easier. All right? But also, don't stay at the same weight if you're getting past 10 reps with it. If you know you can do 10 and you're failing after 10, brother, lift heavier weights. A lot of people don't even lift heavier weights as well. All right? You can't change if you don't change the weight. And the only time you're changing the weight is if you're going upwards, if you're going heavier. And that's about it. All right? But of course, not too much. Don't ego lift. Here's a little example too. Look at this screenshot and picture this. This is a good representation of progressive overloading as an example, right? Every week is a new weight and you're progressing little by little. And finally, mastery. So, you get everything down. This is how you master it. This is the do's for your mastery. going on from this point. Meaning you've got everything down, it's been a couple of weeks, you've been consistent for maybe a month or two. This is where you actually start putting it into routine. So continue to build muscle through building strength. Every 1 to 3 months, your split or the order of your split can be switched around as long as it follows the fundamentals. So the fundamentals that we talked about, if it's following this, then you can switch around the order of your split, which is what I prefer you do. Let's say you're doing push, pull, legs, right? So that's 6 days out of 7. Then you can maybe do legs, pull, push, or pull, legs, push. This is so that there's an even amount of rest between each day. There still is, but the different order of it makes it so that your muscles aren't used to the same order every single week, you know? And oftentimes you might find yourself get sore again, like how you just started. That's kind of how it should be. Or you completely switch up the split overall. So if you're running push, pull, legs and you want to switch to a bro split, you can do that if you've actually mastered everything. But yeah, the absolute bare minimum is 3 times a week of training. You should bare minimum train 3 times a week, and it still means maybe like a full body, an upper and a lower. You're training each muscle group twice a week, and that is the bare minimum. All right, especially when you're starting off. Once you get advanced, you can maybe train it once a week, but twice a week when you're starting off. And remember this crucial point, that it won't always be a grind. It's not always going to be a grind. Eventually, the frequency at which you're working is going to die down as long as you actually get results, you get close to your dream physique, and yeah, you're not going to be working as hard. It's not going to be a grind, and remember that, all right? But everything is worth it on how disciplined you are in the next 3, 6, 12 months. This is going to be determining how lenient you can be in the future, all right? Because when you hit your maintaining phase, it's a lot smoother. But yeah, it gets a lot easier later on. No, I'm wrong. It doesn't get easier. You just get a lot better, and things are almost seamlessly easy, right? Now the don'ts. Don't be on and off. Don't switch workout splits every couple of months or weeks. And don't get lost in what works better. If you get everything down but see no results, then that's a nutrition problem, all right? If you're following every single thing that I just listed and you're not getting results, it's a nutrition problem. This is just half of it. Your nutrition plays a big part in if you make progress or not. But everybody that's starting off with no experience, no actual weightlifting experience, you're going to see progress. Trust me. You are 100% going to see progress. I guarantee it. But once again, you have to be consistent. Don't be on and off. You have to be consistent and stay loyal to the training routine that you've chose, right? Don't switch training routines every couple of months or weeks. And don't get lost in what works better as well. Stick to the exercises that you're doing on that split, that routine. Don't switch it up all the time. Go to the same machines, use the same weights, use the same exercises. Do not switch it up all the time. Your muscles won't get used to it, and you're going to plateau, and you're not going to make progress. Your muscles need at least a month or two to be able to get used to the workout in order for you to progress in it, right? And so, yeah. Now, what does this give you, though, right? Understanding all of this. Now, the aim is to understand effective training, to eliminate your gym anxiety, inefficiencies, wasting time in the gym, plateaus, you're not getting stronger, you're not looking differently, and misinformation on what actually builds muscle, right? Lifting weights allow for an easily measurable database to follow. If you aren't lifting heavier, your muscles aren't getting any stronger, so you won't grow. Simple as that. Don't overcomplicate things, and by using the principles of high intensity, heavy weight, and low rep range, you will maximize growth and minimize wasted time and effort in a simple format. It's this simple. I broke down everything that you need. And now that you have everything that you need to see progress in the gym, this only matters if you actually take action. All of this doesn't matter if you don't take any action. Remember, whoever's listening to this, all right, you don't have an information problem. You have an implementation problem, right? I've given you all the information right now, but if you don't do something about it, you don't implement it into a plan, a routine on a set basis for a set time frame, you're not going to see any change. All right. Nothing changes if nothing changes. You need to start making changes in your routine, your planning, and see where you are in the next 3, 6, 12 months. All right. As long as you can do this, as long as you can optimally apply all this knowledge, I guarantee you that you'll see some sort of change in the first month even. All right. Depends on where you're at. Results are going to vary depending on how bad your situation is, but I promise you, you're better off now that you understand all these principles. And of course, if you haven't been taking notes this whole time already, then you're already behind. I promise you, the person who's taking notes, actually trying to implement this, has a gym membership, is going to go next day and actually start doing things towards his fitness goals. He's the one that's going to actually win. All right. I spent so much of my time being wasted, going in there, trying different machines, going on and off, like every week. Maybe my friend didn't go that day, so I'm not going to go that day. Like, brother, you're wasting time and you're not going to get any closer with your goals if you don't commit to a plan and a schedule. All right. So implement the information and you will get results. I guarantee it. If you want help on the implementation process of this and you don't want to feel lost, you don't want to have to think about putting the work, putting a plan together, then DM me on Instagram or look at the description. I have some links so that you can book a call and I'll see if it makes sense for us to work with each other. All right. But with that being said, hope you guys like this video and I hope you all really make a true change in your lives. Love you guys all.